Jacobite you call me, and the Jacobite I am. I stand for Scotland's laws and rights, I am a loyal man. And if that blood in here, they kill me and I die. The grave which I inhabit, it's Jacobite as I. I'm proud to be a traitor, cause it's to a tyrant crown. Against all form of slavery, I gladly stand my ground. I'll no accept the union with shotgun it was made. My rising won't be over until all debts repaid. It's the Jacobite you call me, and the Jacobite I am. I stand for Scotland's laws and rights, I am the loyal man. And if that blood in here, yet kill me and I die. The grave which I inhabit, that's Jacobite as I. No more we'll take handouts with the caps in hand. I'll see the servile chains of faith broken in this land. And I'll see my people honoured with the life that they deserve. And I'll fight them with my dying breath, and that you have my word. It's the Jacobite they call me, and the Jacobite I am. I stand for Scotland's laws and rights, I am the loyal man. And if that blood in here, they kill me and I die. The grave which I inhabit, that's Jacobite as I. There'll be no more clearances, except will clear away. No longer am I waiting for a prince over the sea. Now it's in our own hands, our hope and destiny. If you call yourself a Jacobite, come and stand with me. It's the Jacobite they call me, and the Jacobite I am. I stand for Scotland's laws and rights, I am a loyal man. If that blood in here, you kill me and I die. The grave which I inhabit, that's Jacobite as I.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from in the world. And welcome back, as I like to say, on a Sunday night, because it doesn't seem very long since we've been talking to you before. So this is your first chance at a double header today, Keir. How are you doing this evening?
I'm not too bad, thank you very much. It's an honour to be invited back, and to even try to step into the mighty Glenn's shoes is quite a big task. But since I'm here, as you know, I've had a little catnap during the afternoon because of my early starts for the job. But I'm up, I'm here now, so I'll do what I can for the show.
Excellent. And Keir's getting his first sample of the fact that I'm not organised. I'm sorted slides as I go as usual, and the fact that I'm sat there singing to the theme song in the background, which none of you can see. But
brilliantly sung, I have to say.
Oh, the original is not so much my singing along, but the original is. Anyway, we're back with a few subjects tonight and looking at things that are going on in the world. I'm going to start in a minute. I'm going to give people a chance to come in and gather together. And before we get going, as we usually do, and this is usually where me and Glenn end up talking a load of rubbish for about half an hour. We might mirror that, we might not, but we will give you a few minutes to come in and a few minutes for my slides, which are not working for some reason.
Yeah, sure. And I hope that people that come in interact, leave comments or ask questions about whatever is going on in the show tonight.
And Keir's going to read the comments. I'm not going to read the comments. I read a few of them live. I never go back and read them. Glenn sometimes does. Sounds like Keir might. But there you go.
I'll let you know, guys. I'll read the comments. So leave a comment below if you like the hats or you think if you think my house coat's not good enough or my voice is stupid. You let me know. I don't care. Right, go.
Yep, there you go. You've had the offer now. There you go. I
I'm-
still won't read them other
I'm
than
here.
what's live.
I'm a duck shoot. So on you go.
Okay, no worries. Give me just a few more seconds because for some reason my slides will not play ball. So, and I need them for the first item because I want to get on to the economic situation. Talked about it briefly this afternoon, but I've been trying to do a full update each week. And I knew we'd need the time this afternoon on the Revelation special side. So I didn't want to do it this afternoon, but I thought I will come back to it this evening because I still have people faithfully sending me prices from Australia and from America. I'm not getting so much from locally at the moment, but I've got the equivalent prices. So if anybody else does want to pick up over the next week and send me some updated prices, that would be great because the UK at the moment, and I'll get to that in a second, is in some ways is the litmus paper for this. And there's a reason behind that. And it's not just because things tend to be judged on the price of Brent, because this is the price of Brent over the last, well, this is the year figures, but this is over the last week. And it's been quite interesting because it's going up and down. It's not going up anymore or not going up consistently anymore. And it's not coming down, and it will go back up because we're getting to the point of supplies running out. But it will go up again when those supplies go out and run out. And that can't be when I say supplies running out, what I'm saying is you're not seeing any further ships coming through. You're seeing the last deliveries having been received. And we're going to see that in the price sooner rather than later. What we are seeing at the moment is market manipulation. And something was sent through this afternoon, or Ian sent something through to us this afternoon on our chat group. And it was talking about how Trump's now got another press conference tomorrow. Because, of course, the new deadline he gave to Iran runs out tomorrow. But it's always a Monday. It's always lines up with the markets reopening. And what I want to know is how long the markets can be manipulated when the markets get to know they're being manipulated. That must be becoming increasingly obvious. And I know I say the markets as if it's a single entity, but the results, the picture you see is a picture of a single entity. And sooner or later, even if that isn't a person, I'm not explaining this very well, but sooner or later, the entity itself will recognize the manipulation because the responses of the people that control what you see from the markets will recognize that manipulation. At the moment, you're seeing it in the ups and the downs. But when you do see, when it stops making a difference, when it stops being able to control that market, you will see that rise again. Because the one thing that proves it is just market manipulation, or proves to me at least it's just market manipulation, is the fact that it's not coming back down. It's just, it's almost a wave pattern around that higher rate. But this is the price of Brent. How is that affecting the pumps? I say I've got mainly Australia and the US today. So this is diesel in Australia. And oh, that's good, you see, it's started to come down. The problem is, the reason it started to come down in Australia is they have changed the duty and changed the excise prices on the fuel. So the government's taking less out of it. But what you can see is after coming down, it's already started to go back up again. So if you think about it with if the lower point is the effect of the drop in duty, and I'm going to get onto that with some charts in a second from the UK, If the lower point is that drop in duty, then that rise again is where we're getting to with the rise in prices. So if you ignored that drop, you would see a similar rise as you've been seeing all the way through. If you took out that bit where the price drop, you're seeing the same sort of rises, stay for a little while, rise. And bearing in mind, each point on this chart is a day apart. We're not talking weeks, we're not talking months. Each point is a day apart. So effectively, it dropped for one day and then went back up again. Now, this is the prices of diesel in the US. And with all Trump's belief that they're isolated, with all Trump's belief that they could sell diesel to the rest of the world, all of this attitude, it is still going up. It's not going up every day. As you can see, it stays at one place for about 4 or 5 days and then goes up again. But it's not coming down, despite America also having altered the duties on it. Unleaded in Australia, that has dropped and not yet gone back up. I say not yet because I have some doubts about how long it will stay down, understandably. And this is unleaded in the US, which again shows that drop, but has not dropped a lot and has dropped and then leveled out again. And the US on unleaded has always been a lot more all over the place. And bearing in mind, I probably should make this clear. These prices, there's only going to be one part of the US and it's only going to be one part of Australia because the people that are sending me the details. Let's say anybody else wants to join in on a daily basis, the one-offs doesn't necessarily help. It's worth it for the conversation. It's worth put him in the chat by all means, but it's watching that constant change. But the point I was trying to get to is this is one petrol station. So this isn't different parts of the country. It's higher, lower. This is one petrol station over the week. And anybody else who wants to join in, that's what I need. I want the same petrol station each day with the prices. But that's to say US unleaded. Didn't get any feedback this thing. I didn't make it clear. I was carrying on for another week, so that's probably why. But I didn't get the feedback this week from Scotland. But this is, oh no, sorry, ignore me. I'm not got there yet. This is a percentage increase in diesel, Australia against the US. And this is the percentage increase in unleaded Australia against the US. That's interesting, Angela. They started to add in alcohol into our fuel in the US, which will decrease fuel efficiency. Something similar to that they will do in Australia as well. They're things that they once would have called a dirty fuel, we're starting to see being released in place of the standard fuels. But like I say, the UK haven't so much. So I've got the prices from the UK. This is from the RAC website. And this is diesel in the, I believe the black is diesel. Yeah, well, because it's higher. Diesel in the black and unleaded in the green. And this is over the last week. The UK hasn't done any adjustment of the fuel duty because why would they want to do that? So this is what I meant about the UK is slightly to become the litmus paper because we're not fudging the figures by affecting the fuel duty, then we can still see that is a consistent rise. And that is the scary part. Because where does that stop? Because we're not seeing it slowing down. We're not seeing, we see slight rises and slight faster rises, but that you could put a line through that and you wouldn't have an exponential curve, but you haven't got the opposite either. You're not seeing it flatten out at the top. That is going to carry on rising at the same rate because of the way it's going. So that is the UK. But like I said, America and Australia are starting to adjust the fuel duty. Now, bearing in mind, they take a percentage. So if they take a percentage, then the higher the price of fuel, the higher percentage they are taking. Therefore, they could and when it's been artificially inflated by the price of oil going up, by the price of Brent going through the roof, they could afford to take a drop in duty because they could take a lower percentage, which will give them the same amount coming in. So they could very easily do that. They won't do that because they don't wish to. America, Australia are more interested in hiding that shortage, in hiding that increase, so that they are manipulating the prices as well. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing for the consumer. Anything that brings that price down for the consumer in the short term is a good thing in the short term. But it stops you seeing so much where the increase is going. But this is how what you pay for the fuel in your tank is broken down. Now, you might not be able to read that very clear, especially if you're watching on a phone, but the wholesale diesel cost, this is what makes up a litre of diesel, is the dark orange. So it's just under, well, more than just under in a way, but I'd estimate that at about, say 7/15, maybe just about 3/8, but I'd say about 7/16. But it's just under the half, if you like. But that's the wholesale cost of diesel. The duty is the dark blue area, which is over a quarter. I'd probably say something like, let's say 4/6. No, that would be a quarter. Say 5/16. The VAT, which is a tax on a tax, because you've got your VAT on your fuel duty as well, is the light blue. And I'm not going to start trying to work out what these are as a percentage of the circle, but you can see that's less than a quarter. Biofuel content and is the lighter orange, the second colour light of orange. The delivery and oil company charges is the second lightest orange, a tiny little sliver, and that light orange that's almost a white, that is the retailer market margin, and that's estimated to be about 3%. So the government's thing that the retailers are trying to make a windfall profit, which I've been contradicting from the start, and not for any great love of the fuel companies. I'm not saying they're the good guys, they're big business, they're corporate. I'm not suggesting they've got any of our interests at heart, but I'm just saying it's their windfall profits is disingenuous. When you look at that chart, the retailer margin on that chart is that, let's say, lightest orange to almost a white colour, that tiny, not the tiniest sliver, but it's a tiny slice of that pie. The fuel duty, and then the VAT on the fuel duty and the VAT on the rest of it. So tax on tax is a good chunk, nearly half. The price is much almost as the value of the wholesale item that you're buying. And that's diesel. This is the unleaded. So a very similar picture. In this case, again, the wholesale petrol price and the fuel duty price are practically equal. And I'd say they're about a third of the whole each in that one. That, again, is similar figure to it was before, is the light blue one. Again, tax on tax. There is a slightly higher retailer margin on petrol, which is about 7% as opposed to 3%. But again, the idea that the prices are going up at the pump because the fuel duties are trying to make a killing is disingenuous. And the reason that it annoys me that that's being pushed, the reason it irritates me that people are falling for that, is because it's what makes people ignore where we are. It's what makes people uninterested, unable to accept the concept, to accept the effect. And just is pretty much everything that Trump says on the war a load of nonsense. so is that attitude so is the attitude that it's the retailers making money, because that leads people to do the usual. It's all theatre, it's all distraction, it's this, the fuel in your, and this is the one I've heard by people who should know better. The fuel in your station hasn't come through the streets recently. It's all been refined. It was all over here. It was done, all that was done way over a month ago. It shouldn't be affecting it. Yes, let's just ignore replacement prices. Let's just ignore the fact that there's less coming in. Let's just ignore all of that and say it's all a get-rich-quick scheme from the fuel companies, shall we? Like I say, the problem with that is it allows people to put those blinkers on, to stop what they're seeing and to ignore it. Because as I said this afternoon, and as I've said in other weeks, it's not just the petrol. It's going to add on to everything. It's going to move on to everything. Everything we buy has been shipped somewhere. Everything you buy online is shipped to you. I get my milk delivered. I've got a milkman, old school milkman, and I'm now being charged 12p a week. It doesn't sound a lot, but 12p a week fuel surcharge. And that's one thing they never did. The delivery cost was always built into the price of the milk. Everyone knows that. But it was always done. But now it's gone up so fast and so quickly, it's costing them so much extra that they can no longer swallow, that there's currently a fuel surcharge of 12p. And the reason it's being done as a fuel surcharge is because they foresee it. This is me hypothesizing, but they foresee it changing. If they just thought it was up to now, they would build it into the price and just put a price increase in the way they've done. They do in a fuel surcharge because then that figure has less permanence than the rest of their pricing structure. The other one I said this afternoon is I'm going down to visit family over the next week, and I booked National Express coach tickets yesterday. Now, that's always been standard. There's one above standard, and I don't even know what it is because I've never paid it. And then there's always been a restricted, which means you can't change it, you can't adjust it. This time, it was practically impossible to get a restricted ticket. Now, that tells me they're not confident on, and to be honest, on some of my journeys, because I've done I've done what they call split ticketing when it's done on the trains. But 2 of my journeys, I've managed to get a restricted for because I haven't got a change in them. So what they are foreseeing is coaches not being able to get there in time, not being able to make the connections, not being sure of running for you to get the next one. Maybe they're thinking they could get held up if they have to get petrol on the way. Maybe they're thinking they might struggle to get it, or they might have to go out of their way to get it. But they're not confident of getting there in the normal amount of time or at all. And that tells me a lot. But you go from that to everything that comes out of oil at the end of the day. And you've got the whole pharmaceutical industry. May not be good for us, but a lot of people still use it. You've got fertilizer. Everything that's grown is going to be affected. Everything that you buy is going to be affected. And I haven't been paying attention. Like I said, I wasn't joking about not reading the comments. I sometimes do, and I sometimes catch them, but I very rarely do. I haven't paid attention, but usually we start saying this. I started saying this or talking about the economics last Sunday afternoon, and people were already coming back with, oh, it's not going up by me. And that is the usual response. That is the usual attitude.
Yeah, I can still get stuff from the shops.
I can still get stuff from the shops. They did it all through. They've done it, everything we've talked about when we talked about harvest is failing, when we talked about the weather, when we talked about it. They get it all the time. But it's that ability to ignore what's going on.
Yeah.
But that's where we are economically, and that whole attitude and that whole attitude we'll get into in Kia's first piece. But before that, Any comments, anything you want to add on the economic situation?
Wow, that's a broad spectrum there,
Yes.
Alex.
Oh,
The
it is.
economic situation. As far as I know, I think I've said before in another show, to my knowledge, the last tanker of diesel and jet fuel is coming into Britain on the 10th of this month. And there's nothing else scheduled. There may be one other ship out there somewhere that might come to Europe. But apart from that, there's nothing.
No.
Unless the Strait of Hormuz, which is on the tip of everyone's lips now, that it's like the Donbass that nobody knew about bloody 4 years ago, right? Or bloody COVID-19 that nobody, or like everyone was a doctor bloody 5 years ago, and then they were a war specialist. Now they're an economist. Yeah, but it seems like the Strait of Hormuz is obviously being shut down, but it's not shut down.
No.
It's shut down to American allies and people that host base or let the troops move through their country or over their country, fly through their country, right? Or so like for instance, Britain could negotiate with Iran and say we'll pay in Chinese yuan, and no Americans will be able to use Fairfax or anything like that, or our Cyprus bases or whatever, right? This could be done, but it was obviously with our special relationship, which has been thrown to the bloody shit by Trump. If it even existed, isn't going to let that happen. And I've got to say, up where I am in the northeast, it's now 190, 191, I think, for diesel, and 158 for petrol. And that's only been in the last, 33 days, 34 days? I don't want to say 33, so I'm going to get on at me. You know what that means.
Yeah. You have to
34,
watch
35 days, right? A month and a bit of this 2-week war, remember? This 2-week war, and it's 2 weeks to flatten the curve and 2 weeks to get this done. And you know how it goes. And then you were speaking about Australia. And I've seen through podcasts and news reports, not just alternative media, but actual, the NPC media, I would call it, that Australian farmers are running out of diesel. They don't have diesel to power their tractors, their harvesters, and obviously in the global south just now, it's harvest time for them, and they're saying we can't get our machines out to the fields to take in the crops which we've planted, but we can't take them out of the ground to, put into circulation over the few months or years. And obviously, on the flip side, on our side of the globe, farmers aren't getting fertilizer, and they're like, we need to start planting our crops. And if we don't get this fertilizer through to our farms, then we're not going to be able to plant the food that you need for next year. It's like, but this is happening. It's not just happening in Britain, and it's not just happening in Australia. It's happening all across the world, right? Let's say the four corners of the globe. I know you can't square a circle, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it looks like, and I don't want to alarm anyone, but it looks like there may be some kind of global famine coming over. And I'm speaking about Western countries here, let alone the people that rely on aid from us. Just imagine a country that's experiencing famine right now, and we're going to give them bags of rice or whatever to keep them going. This is all going to have to stop, because already now countries are starting to stop the export of certain goods for the necessity of keeping or growing food to make sure their populations are safe. So that's what I would say to that, Alex.
Yeah. And it is that, it's that entire problem, and it is that global. And I've said, and ironically, it was somebody in Australia that was contending to us the other week that it's not happening. Oh, there's no shortages. It's a lie. There's no shortages. It's just made up. It's just pretend. And I did invite him to send me the prices. There's no price increase. I did invite him to send me the prices every day. He hasn't availed himself of that opportunity, but I did offer him the opportunity to prove what he was saying, and not to prove against it, but so we can get a full picture, because we can't see all corners of the globes. Neither of us can. None of us can. We can't see all corners, but I've not had the evidence to suggest it isn't happening everywhere. And there are, like you say, people from Australia reporting problems, reporting shortages, reporting not being able to. And if they can't get the harvest in, there is no harvest because it will rot in the fields. That means there's no food in the shops next year.
Yeah.
That's mean there's no food being. And if there's less food in the shop next year, then nothing exports. And whether that is decide nothing export, if there's less coming into a country, it doesn't export. And that means everybody becomes more insular. Everybody starts looking more inside themselves. And yes, you can. People talking in the chat, you can grow food without fertilizer. There's no necessity. And there is no necessity necessarily to put chemicals everywhere. But what you've got to remember is we don't grow food like we used to. Not on the industrial scale that they grow it on. They don't rotate crops. They don't leave fields fallow. They don't do any of the things or use any of the natural fertilizers or whatever that you're using in their garden. And they can, not on the scale. And the size of area, the area they use to grow on the scale that they grow is not, it's not optimized for old school farming. And we might have to get back to that. But it's not at the moment optimized for that.
It may well be coming, Alex, going back to old school farming. I mean, I remember being a very young boy seeing black and white pictures of grannies, and it looks like grannies. They were probably my bloody age, right?
When you're younger.
They're sitting there with their cabbages, and then the person next to them in their allotment would be growing carrots, and the person next to them would be growing something else, and that was like the wartime effort, right? Which kind of feels in the wind is sort of coming this way, if you know what I mean. But with the mass industrialization of the growing of the crops, that's because there's so many people that they have to instead till the fields, plant the fields, harvest the fields, and then get them back up going again, quick smart to feed so many people, which might be one of the reasons for what some people would call the depopulation agenda, is because there's not enough land and not enough space and not enough animals and not enough nutrients to feed everyone. It's what they're trying to tell us, right? I'm not saying I believe it. I'm not saying I disbelieve it. I'm just saying the world's a hell of a fucking big place. And, it kind of feels like they're sort of cramming us all into this wee tight ball until something explodes, right? Imagine a ball made of elastic bands, right? Until something finally breaks, right? So that's what I would say.
And it is that attitude, and whether I'm not saying they're right, I'm not saying they're wrong either, ironically. I just come down on that very similar to what you've just said, because it's not, we don't have overpopulation in the way that they push the argument, but there are changes, and the climate is changing. It's not CO2 in the way they suggest, but the climate is changing. And there are changes, there are earth changes, there are things outside of Earth that are causing those changes that are causing there not to be all the potential for there not to be the food to feed everybody. And they know this. But it's not, they never tell us things openly. If they tell you something, they tell you ass about face, as you say, because it's I can't think of any other way to describe it at the moment. It's all backwards. It's backwards. And everything they do supposedly to solve the problems makes it worse.
Guys, I don't want to be led away in handcuffs, but do not trust your bloody government. They lie to you all the time. They lie. If you haven't woken up since the turn of the century, by now, I don't know what script you're reading anymore. You know what I mean? If you're still voting for if it's Britain, if it's Labour, Conservative, or who's the third party now, Reform or Lib Dems or something. If you're still voting for the donkey or the elephant in America, I can only speak to like the Western stuff I know. I don't know the other political parties across the world, right? But you're still voting for them, then I'm sorry to say you're part of the bloody problem, because all you're getting is a script from these two people, or let's say these two factions, that are actually going to the same script that is being led by people above them, and which cannot be named, of course. So, guys, if you're
not named in a way because we don't know it, because the top of the pyramid will not be the names you hear.
Exactly,
and we do in some ways, but when people start bandying around Rothschild and Rockefeller and all these, if you know the name, they're lower down.
That's like, who's the richest man in the world? Yeah, is it Elon Musk? No. Absolutely. Is it King Charles? No.
Closer, but
it's not. Believe it or not, there's higher people in the world than Elon Musk and King Charles and President Trump. You know what I mean? It's like you'd imagine it like one of those movies where they sit in a dark room and put a black ball in a bloody fishbowl or whatever, and be like, "Yes, we vote that we get rid of this person." Right? It's kind of like that. I'm not saying it is like that. I'm just saying it is kind of like that. And the people you see on bloody telly are nothing. They're just actors, right? So, hey.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know if I don't know that they always know they're just actors, and that's the bit people miss sometimes. I'm a big proponent that it's not the puppet. It's not holding the strings of the puppet. It's playing the little game of Sabutio. It's nudge this direction, nudge that way.
Yeah, nudge units. Yeah, that was a huge thing.
It was a massive. It's been a massive thing longer than COVID. But it was admitted to in COVID. Yeah,
I didn't catch on to it until COVID, and then I found out there was such a thing as a nudge unit, and I was like, "What the fuck is a nudge unit?" And of course, it's a propaganda arm of the government to put out people on screen and things in newspapers and posts online to nudge people into like, I've got to do it, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, this has been happening for I think they first came up with it in the 60s, I think, the nudge units.
It's about 60s, actually, yeah. I have looked into, and when you actually start looking into the psychology and all that behind it, it's very clever. We have a tendency to either overestimate them or underestimate them. We either overestimate them and say there's nothing we can do. And I always like to mock people with like, what can I possibly do, said 8 billion people. Because it is that sort of attitude. But the other danger is we underestimate them, and we think, because they do stupid things, and they do stupid things. Because they do things that to us feel stupid, you think, no, they don't know what they're on. But that's part of what they feed. It's part of what they feed us with the politicians. They're quite happy for us to believe they're incompetent.
Sorry, Alex, on you go.
No, carry on. But I'll just finish that for a second then. If we believe they're incompetent, we then accept the argument, the belief, the nudge that we can solve the problem by voting somebody in more competent. And you're never going to solve it because it was never incompetence in the first place. Sorry, hopefully you haven't forgotten what you're going to say.
I'm trying. No. So there is a school of thought, I would say, or a belief that the governments are being portrayed at the moment as being incompetent. And they're doing incompetent things. Right, incompetent in their actions, incompetent in their beliefs, and no matter you feel like, no matter who you vote for, you're not going to get anything, and that's going to lead you into some kind of apathy or revolt against the government, right? And therefore, you have mistrust in your government, and that might spread worldwide. So you have like mass protests, mass riots all the time, which means that someone or something needs to step in and get rid of these incompetent lower level governments and bring in your one world government to rule over all, right? So the incompetency that you feel you may see may not be the inadequacies of these politicians. It may be the strings that are being pulled above them to finally, and it feels like it's speeding up, but finally take you into this. We don't want our government anymore. We need the central, what would it be? The CWG, the Central World Government, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
which of course will be controlled by, you know, who the fuck is Alice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking exactly that. But they've done that. They do that in every step of the way. They did it with they did it when they did the whole COVID inquiry, because they do these things and then they analyze them afterwards. And people
Yeah.
are sat there rooting, they're having an inquiry into it. Why are you rooting for that? You know full well what they're going to say. They're going to say that everything that was wrong and is proven was wrong was incompetence, and everything that was wrong and hasn't been proven that was wrong is because they're fallible. And you could see at the time, you could see them saying, the wrong decisions your government made, the steps they took that were going too far or not far enough, and usually not far enough, they've ruled it as. You could see all of this, and I was sitting there watching that, and I thought, and how long before they said, well, we need to take this control out of these government's hands and hand it over to a specialized body like the WHO. And you could see it pushing. I don't know if they ever voiced it because people kind of rebelled against it, but you could see where it was leading, and it was all leading on that one to push the Pandemic Preparedness Treaty and the whole WHO treaty.
Yeah, but didn't I read just recently, I think maybe last year, Trump took the USA out of the WHO?
Yeah. But
And
that doesn't necessarily make it a good thing.
yeah, I know. But on top of that, they had their global pandemic organization plan, whatever they called it. And like 190 odd countries have signed up to it to say, like, if the WHO says you've got to stay at home for 3 weeks, then they're going to be like, yeah, okay. Instead of being an independent nation, which kind of fries my brain, I thought like you would have just say the Scottish Parliament saying, no, we're going to look into this instead of being automatically locked down like we were in 2020.
Yeah.
Like now the WHO wants the powers to be like, well, we've declared this, so now all governments must fall in line, and then that's going to be everyone must take the new, what should we call it? The new
poison vaccine.
Yeah.
I don't mince words, and I don't use euphemism.
the killer shots, right? Which we all know they are now. Which is I don't even people that aren't thinking outside the box and are what I would consider normal people, like not to offend anybody, right? They are now like, I wish I'd never ever taken that shot. My auntie died of this. I've never felt so bad. My mum's been ill since 2022. Like my brother, and everybody, I think. And let me know in the chat if you're still here, guys. Do you know somebody that's been vaccine damaged or died of this shot, or do you suspect it? Because everybody I know, and I'm living up here in Scotland, and I know quite a few people. I meet a few people. I've got a few customers. I do actually have one or two friends. And they tell me every time I speak to them, it's, oh yeah, my auntie died of this. My cousins come down with this. My brother's never felt so ill. So let us know if it's happened to you, right? Because I think it's everywhere, and that's another big cover up, which is happening across the globe. And recent stats have said they think 15 million people have died directly from these shots. Sorry to go off on a tangent, Alex. from these shots, and then maybe up to 150 million have been injured. But you have to remember, but this reporting, only 1 in 10 is reported. So that could be anywhere from 150 million to 15 million, or, add times it by 10, or you know what I mean, divide it by 2, you get somewhere around in the middle.
Yeah.
So I would.
That's not even going on the people who will never admit it, have never admitted it was connected, and will never believe it. And I've got people in my family that will never believe that anything that's happened is connected. And yet you can see it. You can see it when things happen within 12 hours of a booster shot. You think, you're still not seeing this?
Yeah.
But the thing is, what do you do after the event? They've not listened. They've taken them all. What is the point of harping on about it after, for people that you can't change the thing?
Well, this is a personal choice for a lot of people, and it's a medical thing. I mean, I'm sitting here right now. I have a wee rollie here. I'm sure people in the comments will say that's going to give you a lot more defects than any kind of vaccine, which I would disagree with. But hey, you know what I mean? I don't want to have karma fucking suddenly come down with like a ton of bricks tomorrow. They may well be right, but it's it doesn't seem that lethal to me compared to what I've seen over the last 5-6 years. Anyway.
Yeah, and it is, and people won't ever recognize that, and that's what they rely on, and that's what they rely on with the next, when they move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. Yeah. And people just don't seem to care.
Yeah.
And it can be manipulation, it can be apathy, it can be one or the other, or it can be both. And I know your first topic you wanted to talk about was both the apathy of people, and I kind of rolled them in together, and the way they use language to manipulate, the way they use language to gain support for what they want. So if you want to give us your introduction on those subjects.
So it shouldn't take too long, because I think we've just spoken about the first half, right? And that is apathy, which is it honestly, as a normal human being, it boggles my brain, the apathy in this world. If you try and I don't want to be derogatory to anyone, but if I'm out in the street or maybe at work or whatever, and if I try and bring up a subject that I think's interesting, it's gone, right? You might as well be at a hairdresser and speak about your holidays, right? And did you have what you plan to do this weekend? And did you? And you got a nice haircut, right? Whatever, right? And I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, the world's run by satanic pedophores. Do you know that? And people are like, what? And I'm like, do you know they've dropped these files? Like, what files? Have you heard of Jeffrey Epstein? No. Oh, right. Okay. Have you been living under a rock for the last fucking 5 years? No. Have you cut your hair, Kier? Right? It's just like, what? And then even during the pandemic, I used to try and speak about Anthony Fauci, who worked for the NIAH, I think it is. I've got it written down somewhere. And he was the one that was pushed out in America to basically push the vaccine rollout. But he was also pushed out in the 70s to push out the AIDS rollout. And there was mass demonstrations against this guy, Anthony Fauci, back in the 70s, saying the drugs you're giving us are killing us. And it turned out the anti-AIDS drugs they were giving out to the people they thought that needed them were actually killing them. Now, all of a sudden, say 50 years later, they roll this guy back out again. And it seems to me they were saying, we need a front guy here to say to the nation that they need to take these new safe and effective vaccines, right? So he came out and he did it, and he ended up saying, "I am science," and this is a whole different subject with this guy Dr. Anthony Fauci, because he did the whole gain of function research thing in America, and it's been proven. They moved it over to China. Guess where they moved it over to? The pangolin market, obviously, and where wet bats and pangolins are served, right? And it nothing to do with the Wuhan research laboratory that was in the same city at all, right? So he got rolled out again to do this, right? So, but back then I would be trying to speak to people going, "Do you know who this guy is?" And they say, "No." I said, "No idea who it is." And then he was like was it Chris Whitty that was on TV saying, "Stay home, stay safe, stay protected," and you have charts up on the screen saying, "Oh, this is a death daily from COVID," and it would be like a bloody car crash, right? Aye, not his presentation, but it'd be a car crash that was counted as COVID, right? It was this whole scam, right? And this is like trying to speak to, I mean, I was speaking again to my brother just yesterday. I went to go and see him, and I had a quick chat with him. And I said to him, he goes, "Dude, you were trying to tell me this like 30 years ago." And he goes, "Yeah, but you wouldn't listen." And he goes, "Well, I had so much going on in my life. You know what I mean? I had like a relationship, I had a job, I had a house, I had a car, I had everything I needed to look after. And I didn't have time to think about this shit, right? And now I've still got a home, I've still got a job, still got a car, but I still think about this shit, right?" And it's just like, what the fuck happened, right? And trying to speak to people in a way that, I mean, like, you're not going to be the most popular man at a party, right? If you turn up and you go, if you turn up and you say, "I do give a fuck about your holiday to Florida," right? You do know the world's completely fucked. And like I said before, we're being run by satanic pedophores, as proven in the Epstein files, which have been dropped. And I can't believe there isn't mass demonstrations, riots in the streets. There's not been a single arrest in America, and only 2 people in Britain, bloody the Dark Lord himself, Mandelson, and fucking Bonnie Prince fucking Andrew are the 2 fall guys they've picked out in Britain, right? And this is a global network everywhere. And there's not only one Epstein, right? There's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, a dozen, right? This is the one that's been uncovered. And then you try and speak to people about this kind of thing. But if you try and speak to people about a corrupt government, money going nowhere, your taxes getting wasted, kids, I mean, like 1 million kids disappear every year, right? And that's a low estimate. And it's like, where do they go? Who's getting them? Why are they getting them? And it's usually like some kind of funded charity, right? Or some kind of government NGO that is doing this kind of thing. And nobody seems to give a fuck, right? Because they're too busy, because they're getting crushed, right? Crushed so much, right? Their taxes are going up, their council taxes are going up, their bills are going up, their electricity is going up, their petrol's going up, their diesel's going up, their food's going up, the price of their kids' education's going up. It's up, and they're struggling so hard to live to keep their bloody head above water that they don't have enough time to stop for a moment, right? Even to spend, like, imagine 10 minutes sitting at a beach and meditating on what the fucking world is actually like. And the world is fucking terrible, right? I'll rephrase that. The world is fucking terrible. It's run by terrible fucking people. But the world itself is absolutely beautiful if you got your way to find it, right? So if you spend a lot of time, unfortunately, with the topics I speak about or look into, I get a lot of doom on my. Like, it's not cats falling off of chairs, right? You know what I mean? It's like, it's always like geopolitical events or an earthquake here or a tsunami there, blah blah blah, right? Which does my head in. So I go out and play golf, and it takes my mind off it. Or I'll go and walk down by the beach, or sit by the beach for at least 20 minutes and just clear my head, right? because I would say I have the opposite of apathy. It's like I feel like I need to get involved. I feel like I want to try and wake people up. But unfortunately, Alex, I would say it's not that people are stupid. I would say they are willfully ignorant, is what I would say.
Yeah. If they were stupid, it would be an easy solution. You can educate. Stupid would be harsh in that case, but you can educate the uneducated. You can't educate the people who choose to remain uneducated or who ignore it. I don't understand it. I've struggled to understand that and this goes a lot further back. And I say to people, I've struggled to understand that for the last 6 years, or I say something about the last 6 years, and they come in, they jump in all smug. Oh, this has been going on since and yes, of course it has. I've been watching things that are going on since way before the last 6 years. I talk about wrestling because I used to do the wrestling. When I was watching back in the 90s and they were doing the New World Order faction and things, I knew what the fucking New World Order was back in the 90s. I knew what these things were when they were throwing it in your face and waving it in your face. It's not unknown, but there's been an acceleration in the last 6 years. And that's what I reference when I say, if you can't see it now, you never will. 6 years ago, you could have perhaps claimed ignorance and had some excuse, not a complete excuse, but some excuse. In the last 6 years, and you don't see it now. If they can release 3 million of the Epstein files and you don't see it now, there's something wrong. But I think
there has to be. I don't get it. Like I say, willful ignorance.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that Donald Trump's he's an honorary member of the WWF now?
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's the Hall of Fame. There we go.
Yeah, he's a WWF Hall at WWE now. Yeah. WWE Hall of Famer. And that says it all, really. So kayfabe moved from the wrestling world to the political world.
The analogy is that we're now living in the WWF. So it looks like somebody's punching someone else, but they're not really, because they're all owned by the same. Yeah.
In a way. The thing with wrestling that people don't know or don't always know is, yes, and people come up to you and say, is it fixed? No, they don't say, is it fixed? They said it was fixed. That'd be easy answer. They say, is it fake? And I used to have trainees. They used to train people. Yes, they have trainees come in and say, how fake is this? Or they'd say, how real is this? And I'd say, well, if you're 6 foot in the air and I slam you down from 6 foot into that mat, you really are 6 foot in the air, and I really do slam you down into that mat. If I hit you with this chair, I really do hit you with this chair. Mm-hmm. What's fake is I'm not trying to kill you. I don't dislike you particularly. And it's not really, and I know probably who's going to win before we start the match. And we're working together to put on an entertaining show. I'm not saying Olympic wrestling, I'm talking professional wrestling. But that's the thing with politics.
Yeah, you can put that into the political theatre.
Yeah.
And say, if I drop this bomb, it is going to hurt you. Right?
Yeah.
But we both know who's going to win, right? So there's a lot of speculation and a lot of argument to be said that all wars are contrived and all outcomes of every war are already decided before they start. But in between that, you can say that there's always the same people funding both sides of the war.
I don't know so much on that one. This is one I was questioning Tuesday, ironically. Because I've always gone along, and it was one of those sound bites that every conspiracy theorist kind of learns from the start. It's both sides, funded by both sides. Same side funds both sides of every war. Well, I'm not so sure. I want to know if there's a faction war here. But the one thing is, and I'm talking the Western world here, I'm not necessarily, and I might be very, very wrong, and some people will say I'm very, very wrong. I'm not so sure. Sorry? Say in the comments, yeah. By all means. I won't read it, but don't carry on. But it's I'm not necessarily saying that Iran are a part of the same agenda, that China are part of the same agenda, that Russia are part of the same agenda. I'm not naive enough to think that they're coming to save everybody like people believe about Trump. I'm not naive enough to think there's the salvation of the West, because they've got no interest in the West. They probably we're a laughing stock to them in all genuineness. We are a laughing stock to the global majority. The West is a dying empire, and we are a laughing stock. So I'm not convinced in all of that. But there is a tendency where there is a level that is an act that is portrayed, that is distraction, and people buy into the distractions and they ignore the shoots. Because the bit I never got to the end of, but the bit I meant to say when I was talking about the wrestling side of it, is everyone thinks, oh, it's all fake. And a lot of what you think what is portrayed as real is fake. But behind that, there are the real feuds, the real people that hate each other's guts, the real moves that you cinch onto a bit because somebody pissed you off in the changing room. There are things that are real in wrestling that people do not realize are real, and then that are changed into storylines. There are storylines that are made because somebody pissed somebody off and they want a chance to get back at them in the ring. And that's the other side of politics, and that's the other side of geopolitics.
Yeah.
People have egos.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. And then, of course, there's other sides saying what you see and what you think, or what they want you to see and what they want you to think, is usually, I would say, 95 to 100% bullshit, right? If it's on the news, then it's there for a reason. Not because it's news. It's there to change your thinking, right?
Yeah.
To give you a nudge in a certain way. And that, of course, like we said, that was so evident back in the turn of the century, the early turn of the century. Like how old are we?
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm running out of power there. Yeah. Okay. We're good. Yeah, I might be a bit darker there because I just about ran out of power in the laptop. But yeah, it's all theatre, and I don't know why would the whole world go in lockstep to give somebody which many people call a bioweapon into their bodies, and that was just about the whole world, right? Anyone that could afford it did it. So I could put on the other side that there are people controlling this bloody global situation, and it's definitely not us. And we're way down on the bloody list of bloody carnivores or whatever, right? So, I mean, would it be valid to say that somebody's controlling this agenda and they wanted this whole vaccine situation to kind of eugenicize the world, which, by the way, seemed to stop 4 years ago in February. As soon as Putin invaded Ukraine, there was no COVID anymore. I don't know if anyone remembers that.
Right? Until they want to roll it, they want to try and roll it out every now and again, and people go, "Yeah, no." Well, like Cicada one was the latest one.
And so
you might escape the vaccines was the latest one after they tried. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they tried the meningitis one or whether they were never going to, because this is the thing: they can't turn everyone into a pandemic, or we'll stop falling for it. So they can't turn everyone, but it did look a bit like they were going to try and pull it with the meningitis, considering they tabletopped it in the NHS with the whole Operation Pegasus.
Yeah.
But COVID never went away according to them. It
Well,
couldn't
it's
go
still
away.
here and it's still
It couldn't go
killing.
away because it doesn't exist in the first place. But it according to them, it didn't go away. But you're right. It became irrelevant because we started talking about Russia and we started building.
It went away.
World
I mean,
War
I remember.
II.
Sorry, Alex. I remember I was driving about. I'm driving about to do my job, and they have the big billboards, the digital billboards over your. I want to say a motorway. We call it a dual carriageway, right? And it would be vaccine centre here. Stay safe. Stay protected. Stay at home. Vaccine centre 5 miles. And then one day, right, it hadn't been even announced on the news. I drove to work and it went, wear your seatbelt. And I went, oh, it's all over, right? And the next day they came on TV and went, there's a war in Russia. And that it just disappeared. Just like that. And I was like, oh, that easy. Right, okay.
But we went from you must stay 6 foot apart, you could kill Granny. You went from you could kill Granny to let's kill all Russians.
Yeah.
You went from you need to stay at home, stay safe, save lives to we need to put boots on the ground and bomb the hell out of Russia. Or considering dropping a tactical nuke in Tehran.
And it's just how quickly it goes. And maybe tying back to what you said before there, Alex, I think they, and we have to use the they, had a plan that was tied to the vaccines and the lockdowns, and Putin blew that one out of the water by invading Ukraine. So now they have to accelerate what they're doing, right? And an acceleration escalator to get to their agenda, which seems to be all over the whatever news 2030. And then finally 2050. So it seems like they've had to speed things up because they got shut down halfway through what they were planning to do. It's what it seems to me. But hey, I'm just a conspiracy factualist. Who am I to say?
It is. They do change their plans, and the idea that there's one overarching plan is wrong anyway. Yeah. They have plans, they have ideals, they have more than any of that. They have an end game. They have somewhere they want to get to, and they will get there by whatever means they can. By, like I said, with the Sabutio game, it's a nudge here, it's a nudge there, and this is what makes me think in a way that Russia's not playing their game. And don't get me wrong, like I said, certainly China, if not so much Russia. China wants its own new world order, effectively. It just doesn't seem so determined to kill its citizens as the West. Because that was the interesting thing. If you look at Russia's excess deaths following on from the jabs, they're not there. They're not there in the way that the West's are.
I believe
and of course, they never brought in the Pfizer, they never brought in the Moderna, they brought in their own version.
Now, I've seen that, right, as being a reason why they didn't have any excess deaths. And it's not verified. I've also seen a couple of other people, which aren't news, right, saying that they actually used the AstraZeneca or a version of it. But they used, instead of it being the mRNA method, they used the old vaccine method of just giving somebody a tiny little bit of
viral vector. Then the AstraZeneca was a viral vector. That's why people got all excited when they talked about taking AstraZeneca off the market or getting rid of it or banning it or all this thing. And whenever there was the clots and things, they tried to link that to the AstraZeneca. But the AstraZeneca was always a viral vector. It was never mRNA.
Right.
That was also
viral vector.
Pfizer. That was always Pfizer and Moderna. I'm not saying that one was safe because none of them, I wouldn't trust any of them. And don't get me wrong, you wouldn't get me taking the Russian one either or the Chinese one either. I wouldn't trust any of them nowadays because you just can't risk it in many ways.
Can't risk. And on top of that, I believe you also can't risk if I'm, and I am, guys, let me know in the comment if it's good or bad. I'm unvaccinated. I never took any of their vaccines. I saw what they did to my mother, and it absolutely blew my mind with blood clots coming out her nose for like 12 hours. I was like, what the fuck is going on with this shit? And that was another reason why I was like, I can't be doing this shit anymore. You know what I mean? Just absolutely crazy. But yeah, let us know in the comments if you took the vaccine and if you know anybody that's vaccine damaged, right? You know what I mean?
Oh dear.
But we could speak about this. We could speak
I
about
can't
this
help it. I'm gonna laugh at you. Let me know in the comments bit. But that's whatever suits. Whatever suits. What was I gonna say?
Why not? You got to try it.
Yeah. Okay. What was I? My mind's gone blank. Oh, to circle back round to the whole apathy thing, because we kind of a bit of a tangent. To circle back round to that. I don't have a lot of patience with apathy. I don't have a lot of patience with apathetic people. I have about as much patience with them as I have with the Trust the Plan Brigade or Raise Your Vibrations Brigade, or you're letting the fear in, or we can manifest the solution, or any of this nonsense. Because it is nonsense. But it's the guy in the prison cell. It's the guy locked in the prison cell with, in front of the cage, the loaf of bread and the key.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That reaches for the loaf of bread.
Yeah.
People cannot look behind the immediate problem. You've only got to look at the average voter. People will vote on their immediate situation. People will vote on the lies that they're told about how their prosperity and their livelihood and their everything is at risk because of the number of immigrants coming into the country. Incidentally, if you're in Scotland and you're thinking of voting Reform, read the fucking Scottish Reform Manifesto and you won't be. But anyway, that's an aside. You
sit on the fence there, Alex. It's like...
Oh, I don't sit on no fences whatsoever. I don't find them comfortable.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm sorry, but the Reform, if you actually are in Scotland, if you actually look at the Reform for Scotland manifesto, you wouldn't vote Reform. Because they basically say you have no point in existing effectively. They basically say you're a vassal of Westminster and you need to be made into more of a vassal of Westminster.
I think people kind of forget that, you know, I mean, with my last name, my family are all immigrants, unless you go back to bloody Southern Ireland somewhere, right? So all across America, England, Scotland, I mean, you name it. If there's a geeking kicking about, we're immigrants, right? So we're not genuine Scottish. So I would class myself as Scottish Irish, and then my cousins in America will class themselves as Scottish American, right? Or Scots Irish, right? So it's just like, since when did immigration become such a problem that you can't accept other people from other cultures into your community? I mean, I understand there's going to be nefarious things that happen with immigrants coming in, but you have to remember that the West has been bombing the fucking shit out of their countries for decades, right? It's where they're going to go, right? You know what I mean? I mean, like, I'm not saying some dude that's on the news for doing terrible things to some girl in a park or whatever, right, should be allowed to stay here. I'm saying 99.9% of the people are here for a better life and to improve the country, right? But they're getting a huge bad rap, right? You know what I mean? And like, technically, I mean, I'm born and bred Scottish, but I've got Irish heritage. But so technically, I'm an Irish immigrant. I'm one of those, like, you know what I mean? My family went over to America back in like 200 years ago, right? And became part of the gangs in New York or whatever, right? If you want to throw in a movie reference, right? And then they came back, and that's how we end up still being here, right? So I don't know. So this whole immigrant problem is just, it's another, no, is it a red flag, a false flag? some kind of, when I see it,
anyway.
and you see people outside of migrant hotels protesting, and like, I completely understand why they're doing that, but they're being
manipulated,
fed fuel. Yeah, it's like, and the media just pours petrol on it, right? Because almost like they want to engineer a situation where they start splitting the country. The people are fighting against each other, don't trust the government, which leads to, again, the one world, right?
Exactly. It's engineered, it's manufactured, it's fed. And this is the thing, it's not just, when you talk about propaganda, it's not just mainstream, it's alternate media too. And it's people, it's controlled op. And it's been controlled op feeding this whole anti-immigration thing from the start. And nobody's saying that some guy that's raped a child or whatever should be allowed to stay. Or I still remember the Southport. The guy was a Welsh Christian. He wasn't a Christian because he was stabbing kids. But if he was going to be traced back to a religion, it would be Christianity. It was never Islam, and he was never an illegal immigrant.
And that's where we kind of come on to language, I think, Alex.
Yeah. Yes.
With the language that is used, right? Mm-hmm. So we covered the apathy. And that's a personal choice, which is fine. But the language that people use, and especially talking heads, and especially written in print or in song, or usually on the news, which I discount just like 95% of the news because it's all a load of shit, right? But then the language they use is like, we are at war with, let's say bloody Greenland. We are at war with Greenland, right? Just because it came to mind, obviously, it's been topical, right? And it's not we. Like, who's this we? Is that we? And it's like, we won the football game last week. And it's like, did you? Were you on the pitch? Did you score a goal? Did you make one pass? Did you do a throw into the striker and he spanked it into the top corner because we won the football game? We lost to Celtic at the weekend. And it's like, who's this we, right? You're a supporter of 11 guys on a pitch, right? And that's the same thing as saying, we have just invaded Afghanistan and we are all in this together. And it's like, no, wait a minute. I didn't vote for you, for one. So I don't vote because I don't believe in voting because I know they're all fucking shysters. But they always use this language, the collective language, to get everybody in. And say, we are doing it for the community. We are doing it for this. And it's like, there is no we, right? If you speak to any working class person or any normal thinking person across the world and say, do you want to go and kill some stranger in Iran? They'll be like, no. Why the fuck would I do that? And it'd be because they don't like you. And I'll be like, oh, do they not? Well, then what am I going to do about it? He goes, you don't have to do anything about it. But if you join us, we will do something about it. And it's like, wait a minute, right? So I'll be sitting in my flat here, and I can guarantee you across the world there's another bloody 3 dozens or a dozen Keers, not necessarily looking like me, thinking the same thing, right? Or hundreds or thousands or whatever, right? Multiply it by any extra one. And it's this language they use to try and suck you into the safe and effective and everything's fine and we will do this and you will be okay. And it's mental. So you went to like the Iranian, the Russians, the American people, Israeli people, Chinese, Indian people, right? All these folks would be like, they'd be like, here's a gun, go and kill that guy Keir in Scotland. And they'd be like, well, why the fuck should I do that, right? You know what I mean? Oh, he says something we don't like. Like, what the fuck is actually going on? And there's actually a guy, is Professor Morandi. He does appear on George Galloway now and again, but he's been popping up everywhere now. because of the Iran war. And he's now got $1 million bounty in his head. And he's a professor of bloody English and ancient literature or something like that, right? In Iran. And all he's done is come on and say, look, if you attack us, we're going to attack you back. It's fucking mental, right? And it's just, and you have to be very careful, right? Not just from what the governments are saying and the language they use that they push through your telly, right? It's like waves against you, like you say, Alan, like a nudge unit, right? And then, but in your normal life, I would say you watch out the way that people speak to you, right? Because it's called spelling for a reason. Because every time you speak, you spell, and you're spelling your intentions to someone else. And this is like a thing that should be known by every child as they grow up and every adult as they try and navigate around the world, is being able to spot when it's a good spell or a bad spell, right? I know this is sounding a little bit esoteric, but it's called spelling for a reason. It's called words, which could be spelled with a Y, words. And all the time, there's always, right? If there's someone genuine, you can do it by body language, by the way they speak and the words they use. And usually someone that's a shyster will be using 1, 2, or 3 of them in a certain way to manipulate you, right? And that would just be like a person in the street or your loved one or your sibling or whatever. But usually it's most prominent if you just take a little time to step back and, like I say, have eyes to see and ears to listen and see the structure of the way they're putting things forward to you. You can usually see if someone's like, full of shit, right? And that's what I saw from, or that's what I see from the propaganda on my TV, with the language they use, the way it's structured, and of course they've got the pictures as well to hammer home their point. But I would also advise anybody watching to look out for that in their personal life. And you might see somebody that's really vulnerable by the way they're speaking to you, or somebody that's the opposite, that's trying to make you feel vulnerable to take advantage of you. So I would say watch out for that, for the language.
Human nature is a funny thing, and the way we think and the way our predisposition to things is a funny thing, because the minute you start saying about spelling, and I've heard this one so many times, that triggers a reaction to me, that triggers an anti-reaction, because what you're saying in the whole, I would 100% agree with. The way they manipulate, the way they other people, and that's what they tried with the whole. And I wind people up, I know, by going on and on about the immigrant thing, but I've seen those signs you're talking about. I've seen the way people have use it to manipulate, and it bugs me because of it. And I've seen the way people have used it to manipulate to justify a genocide and to justify an illegal war on Iran. And that's why it winds me up. But that whole, but the way they do that, the way they other people, and the way they create the fact, the way they know we're a herd, they know humanity is still a herd species. They know we want to find our tribe, we want to find our group, our clan, whatever. They know we know as a human. You mentioned the gangs of New York. I can't get my words out again.
Yeah.
And people have that tendency, that gang mentality, to find people in group, and they play on that. They use the media to play on that. That's why it's always, we need to do this. We lost, we won. You're never going to get me on side with we lost to Celtic, because you might get me on the side with we lost to Rangers. But
okay, we lost to St Mirren and we're going down, so don't worry.
It doesn't really matter, but you know what I mean. I'm joking, but what I'm saying is, and that's the thing, you wouldn't. And this is the other game they play, and the reason I said that in a joke is because it's the other game to play.
Yeah.
Because to get you where they want you, one newspaper will say, we lost to Celtic. The other newspaper will say, we lost to Rangers. And they will bring the opposing sides both to the point where they want them. They'll bring you from where you are to where they want them. And this is what Tammy went through this a long time. I know I hark back to some of Tammy's shows, but she cottoned onto that a long time ago. And when she said it, it's one of these things that just clicked, because you get a right wing and a left wing press. Even if there are no wings of a bird, you still get a right wing and left wing press.
Well, of course,
and
they
use
make their money, right?
where you are to bring you where they want to. But it's that. You are right about that. We did this. We were attacked by Iran, or we attacked Iran, or they've got to create an enemy. They've got to, well, what was it they said, the nudge department said in COVID? We need to raise people's fear of personal risk or something like that.
Yeah.
And they actually, this was in the Hancock WhatsApps when they were released. We need to raise people's personal risk level or people's personal threat level. We need to scare them. They literally said we need to scare the pants off them.
Yeah. And nobody uproared about that either.
And nobody uproared about that either, because nobody uproars about anything.
Yeah, anymore. No one, because they're too busy being oppressed, suppressed. Right?
They're too busy reaching for that loaf of bread, but there's more to it. And this is why there are reasons. People's worried about, if I upset somebody, if I lose my job, I won't be able to pay my mortgage, or what if I say that and I get sacked, or what if somebody takes it? What if somebody takes it out on the kids, or what? And I get it. Or what if I can't afford to? I spend all my day working. I spend 24 hours a day trying to just keep a roof over my head, just pay my mortgage. Yes, and if you do nothing, you won't be able to keep a roof over your head. You won't be able to pay your mortgage. Your kids will be dead, and you won't think. But this is what I can't get through to them.
Yeah.
This is the bit I just cannot get through, and I've been trying for 6 years now to get through to people that there is no price of fighting this, up to and including your death, that is worse than what's coming if we don't. But we won't get that through to people. We will never get that through to people.
But they've spent so much time making sure that people don't gather together, don't speak together, don't have little communities together. And it feels like, to me, that they're trying to separate everyone. And I think I said on a show the other day, they want everything recorded, everything digitized, everything scrutinized. So these little whispering corners where you go and sit with like Bill, Ben, Bob, and John or whoever, and sit and have a conversation about what's going on in the world, are all starting to disappear, right? And all you've got now is like shows like this or whatever, and everything. So everything I'm saying right now is being tracked, traced, and logged, and whatever. I'm sure I'm bloody on a list anyway. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I want to be on a list. Put me on a bloody list. Let me know in the comments if I should be on a list. And can I say one last thing?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't usually do this, but I'll do a little quote. And it is, working class people around the world have no innate desire to go to war with each other. They have to be conned into it by the sociopaths who will profit from it.
Yeah.
And that was by the great sage back thousands of years ago, John Lennon.
I did wonder, working class thousands of years ago, because thousands of years ago we'd have been serfs. But
so
yeah,
there we go. Not that he was a saint.
It's no less true today. It might only be back to the 60s, but it's no less true today.
So as far as apathy goes and the language they use, can I do one more thing?
Mm-hmm.
I want to name drop, if I can, Gerald Celente. If you know Gerald Celente from the Truth Journal.
Mm.
Okay, he's amazing. If you've ever watched Goodfellas, with Joe Pesci, right? He's Joe Pesci on steroids, right? It's the way I would describe him. No offense, Gerald, if you ever see this. But one of his greatest quotes is when all else fails, they send you to war.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are right now.
Mm.
Right? Because when the economy absolutely starts to tank, and when people start to realize it's starting to tank, and when they can't get the food they want, the fuel's gone up, they can't go on holiday, flights are cancelled, empty shelves, what's going to be the big Mother Mary is going to be, well, if you come and join the army, you're going to get 3 square meals a day. We're going to give you a sign-on bonus. You can look after your family. All you have to do is a quick tour of, let's say, Germany. But the problem is you're going to get blown up to pieces as soon as you try and put a landing craft anywhere near anybody's country anymore, right? It's mental. Anyway.
So 40 shillings on the drum for those who volunteer to come.
Please continue. That was my little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'll go on to my next subject. Time is running away from us, as it usually does.
Of course.
And this is kind of one I picked for, well, just another level of the insanity of the giant Oompa Loompa, to use Ian's colloquialisms. And that is Trump now wants $152 million from Congress to reopen Alcatraz. This is why I called tonight Between the Rock and a Hard Case. Now, I don't consider Trump a hard case in the normal general terminology or general slang, but he's certainly stubborn, unmovable enough, and he's certainly insane enough. But it comes from the old, as we talk about films tonight, it comes from the old The Rock with Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones. But I'm not going to try and do the accent. But it's the whole...
They almost did.
I almost did it. That was the point. But he wants to rebuild and institute Alcatraz. And it was suggested a while back, but it's been suggested for 2017 fiscal year. They've proposed to rebuild Alcatraz as a state-of-the-art secure prison facility. And they're suggesting that 152 million would cover mind you, this is not the total cost. This would cover the first year of the project's costs. Of course, he didn't. He floated this like he always floats everything on Truth Social. So he puts the idea in a post going back last May. We were a more secure nation in times past. We did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. This is why today I'm directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz. This is what he said back in last May. But this one's coming round again, like every one of his ideas come round again and gets pushed again. And you've had the Interior Secretary at the time and former Attorney General, you had Pam Bondi, go out and inspect the island. And they even made the comments that it might be a terrific facility to hold illegal aliens and all this. Of course, it ties in with whatever one of his plans there are. But this is his solution, not anything that makes any sense. This is his solution to the problems, to the division, to the divides, to the polarization of American society, which we see over here and everywhere else as well. We just need a bigger, better prison. It's probably going to be going to be the best prison you've ever seen before.
Biggest prison ever the world's ever seen. No one's ever seen a prison that's ever been bigger or better than the prison that I'm going to build.
Pretty much, yeah.
I should be a politician.
Yeah. It's insanity.
Yeah, so I just briefly I looked into that. 152 million in federal funding to repurpose Alcatraz. It's been closed for the last 62, 63 years because they couldn't keep the costs up. Now they're thinking of redoing it up for America's most violent criminals, which you have to define violence here, or the most dangerous, let's say dangerous criminals, right? So that could be a political opponent or somebody that dissents online that has a popular following that gets sent to Alcatraz because they are pushing against a certain maybe narrative that is being suggested by the government. If they do this, and I think we spoke about this the other day with their FEMA camps that have all been built and are not being used, and by God, they're going to be used. And why are they going to be used? Because I think maybe there's going to be a hard push to like, you're with us or you're in the camps. You're with us or you're in the camps, right? And they might imagine just throwing it out there, they use Alcatraz as the propaganda wheel of saying, well, if you speak out against us, look where such and such is now. Look, he's got 2.5 years in Alcatraz for his online post about supporting a certain political group or action or demonstration. Or, I mean, I'm going to be very careful here because I still want to make my work tomorrow. So, it could be all these things are being set up for our future past, to be a bit philosophical there. Yeah.
And yeah, that's probably a good definition in some ways, because it has the fucking ring of the 80s about it over here. I don't know about America, but it has the ring of the 80s. I mean, like I said on I think it was on Friday night, why did they build the H block? I'm sorry, not the H blocks. Why did they build the Nightingales? Sorry, that was deliberate Freudian if you missed that point. Because we are back to fucking Operation Demetrius. We are back to internment, or we will be going back to it very soon.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems I don't know. It seems, say 1999, just to throw in, it seemed like you could do or say a whole lot more than you can do or say now, without somebody getting offended or reporting you to the authorities, which they think are the authorities. And they're just like mafia bosses with bloody extension hands, bloody controlling everyone. And that's, like we said, that's the lower level people. That's your cops and your councils and your government. And then you've got the NPCs below them that are like, oh, we've got to report this guy because he said a word I don't like, or he, right? And then if you go higher up the chain, it's like, oh, he's a political dissenter because he hasn't stepped in line with the government program that we're putting in. We're making sure everybody agrees with. And that's when you're going to end up in one of these bloody camps for what? Having an opinion, exercising free speech, being a human being, wanting to discuss freely and openly with people, hoping for, like, I say argument, but not an argument, but a discussion, right? Like prove me wrong. Tell me I'm full of crap, and I'll be like, well, show me the evidence. And I'll be like, wow, I never thought of it that way. Let me have a time to think about it. I do actually think you're right? People can change their mind. Right?
People should be able to change their minds.
Right? It's called being human, right? You don't have to stick your head in one bloody box all your life and be like, this is me. This is what I am now. And shut out, like, just sit there, la, 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 right?
A lot of people do, though. A lot of people have a massive problem with admitting that they were wrong.
And that's yes. Well, that
dangerous.
could be tied into apathy, but that's people's, that's pride and that's ego and that's you know what I mean. And the more people get rid of that and just be humble, right? You know, admit your weaknesses, accept the help, right? Speak to people about things you've never spoken about before, and be like, wow, I love to speak to people about a topic that I don't know much about. I never knew anything about that. Wow. Like, I mean, obviously I've got loads of things going on in my life and I've got my own opinions and blah, 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 blah. But when someone's like, oh, have you ever thought about it this way? I'm like, no, but please let me. I'm not like, you shut up, I disagree with that. I'm like, well, let me see how I might agree with it. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but it's not my kettle of fish. Or I might say, wow, that's really interesting. I never thought of that way. I'm going to look into that. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is. But it is. I wouldn't put it past him actually doing it, and it is the level of insanity about what he's putting out.
It's insane. If he's doing that, that's insane. I was like, what's he going to do tomorrow? Right? He's going to be like, oh, we've decided that Scotland isn't drilling enough oil, so we've decided we're going to invade the Shetlands. Right? It's just like, I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that fucking happened, Alex.
Well, it's about as realistic as we need grain. I can't get anything out tonight. As we need Greenland for the sake of security in the Arctic, we need Greenland.
Yeah, there's some.
It wouldn't be much further. For the sake of fuel security, we need to take over Scotland.
Yeah, or the Scottish Islands.
Or Scottish Islands,
the water and the islands. You keep the mainland. And we'll just take all your gas and oil fields and your archipelagos, if I said that right. If you know what I mean. Yeah. The bloody hundreds and hundreds of islands that Scotland's got. They just have an American base in each one, right? That's a bad game of Risk. That's a bad game.
Don't even joke about it. I couldn't.
It'll happen next week. I'm telling you. You'll be like, my mother's from Scotland and we've decided to take over Scotland. Like,
one golf course is bad enough.
Yeah,
no.
I'm glad you try and do the Sean Connery accent.
No, I won't. I don't like Sean Connery's accent, actually. It's too Edinburgh-y. No disrespect to anybody in the comments.
Now you've divided the country there.
I have, but I always wanted, because I can't help it. I try not to remember the fact, but I am an immigrant as well, technically. And before I moved up home, then I always wanted to go to Edinburgh, and Edinburgh is one of the places I always wanted to go. And then I went to Edinburgh, and I thought, I don't like this. And it's nothing against the people of Edinburgh, because when you go up as a tourist, you go to the tourist, tourist mile and all that, and it was a tourist trap. It was pure. Well, it was too English. It just didn't have any heart, or it didn't seem to. And I always wanted to go to Edinburgh, but when I went to Edinburgh and then I went to Glasgow, I much preferred Glasgow.
They tell you, if you go to Glasgow, you're going to get your head kicked in, right? And I've been to Glasgow
weekly.
They're bloody lovely. Lovely. Every Glaswegian I met was just hilarious, right? But then maybe that's the way I come across to people as well, because I'm like, quite open and have a joke with them and whatever. But every time I've been to Glasgow, never had a single problem from mid-afternoon to 3 o'clock in the morning. I like you say, I've been to Edinburgh quite a few times as well. And it's real touristy, right? You have to get off the beaten track.
Yeah.
If you go to Edinburgh to have any sense of what it's actually like. But if you go to Glasgow, everyone's just like the same wherever you go.
Yeah, it might be, and I don't doubt for a minute if I did get off the beaten track in Edinburgh, it'd be fine. I'm not trying to insult people from Edinburgh. It's just when you go to the sites or whatever, you know what I mean? It is like
Yeah.
it's like going into any tourist hotspot, and it's just not the real
But then
place.
again, if you go to Glasgow, and no offense to anyone from Glasgow, if you wear the wrong coloured bloody football shirt, you might be in trouble, right?
I also wear the wrong. I don't wear football shirts at all, but
That's a whole different kettle of fish, and nothing against the people of Glasgow, but we kind of know there's two sides
you
to it.
know which part of the. And I was always before I knew where I was going to go. If I looked at anywhere close to Glasgow, I was kind of trying to make sure I knew which part of the city I was looking at, so whether I could play my music loud or not.
I mean for me,
I play way too much Irish folk to go to some parts of Glasgow.
yeah. Sorry. For me, Edinburgh has always been more, for use of a better phrase or whatever, has been more rugby-fied, right? Which could be Englishified. And it's a little bit more, you could say, posh, kind of, is what people in Scotland would say. A little bit more upmarket. And of course, there's upmarket places of Glasgow, but Edinburgh has always been, kind of treated the way they speak, and it's always been about Murrayfield, I believe it is it Edinburgh, and the rugby and the I don't know, they seem more integrated. By immigrants probably, right? And Glasgow seems to be a bit more Scottish, put it that way. No offense to Edinburgh at all.
Trying to think where we go from there.
I'm trying to find another part of the country I can understand.
I'm trying to work out how to keep it moving by trying to work out how to get a link from debating. Well, I guess it's that idea of integration, that idea of mixing one thing to another, whether that is different races, different groupings, different football teams, or whether that is human and machine. Because I'm trying to lead into your second topic.
Do I have a second? You better tell me what it is.
Well, you said you want to talk about transhumanism.
Oh, God, yeah. There's a kettle of fish. Now, one second. Let me have a... Yeah, I had notes and everything, yeah. So you've got to say, what is transhumanism, right? And it's a philosophical movement that advocates the enhancement of the human condition. Okay? Usually using technology, and it's to enhance longevity. I'm the same as you. Longevity, right? Longevity. Thank you. Thank you, Kier. Cognition and well-being, right? So this has been going on. It first came to light. It's been going on for hundreds of years, the actual philosophy of it. But it first came to light after the Second World War, I believe, when the Nazis were proven to be trying to use eugenicism to weed out the weakly, take out the disabled, take out the mentally ill, or what they consider to be disabled, mentally ill, right? To have the perfect genes, to have the perfect race, right? So that would be a slight little thing on eugenics. But when you go into transhumanism, this is more, instead of just having, say, two humans or a group of humans and breed out the worst, right? Kind of like the Darwinism kind of thing. This is like actually using AI or technology to have implants in one's body so that you can then become what some people would call superhuman, or the uberhuman. I think Nietzsche wrote about. So there's emerging technologies going on today. I mean, we've got Elon Musk with his brain chip, then some people might say, and I'll sit on the fence with this one, that the vaccine that people have taken have got tiny microprocessors in them, which come together in your blood, and then you have now become basically a computer or a Wi-Fi signal, right? And it has been proven that people in the middle of nowhere can now, that have taken this weapon, can be traced to have a Bluetooth signal, right? And this is when you're away from everything else, and it comes up, you've got your own little Wi-Fi code, right? And now this could go back to the Internet of Things, which is your microwave, your TV, your laptop, your phone, your fridge, right? If you've got a chip in them, they're speaking to each other. But now they've moved that from outside to the inside, if you see what I mean. In transhumanistic terms, it's making you almost like, if you follow, I think it's Star Trek, that would be like the Borg. So you're becoming part of the collective, part of the machine, and there's basically no way out of it, because you are now the Internet of Bodies. So if you believe in transhumanistic thinking, then you would believe that the merge of man and machine is going to make man evolve, right? However, as far as I'm aware, we're only using half of our brain right now just to exist. So what happens to the other half of this if we let a microchip take over our thoughts or our actions? And who's to say that they can't see through your eyes or hear through your ears, or like they can see you, they can see me now, they can hear me on my fucking phone, right? They can hear me everywhere I go. So what about when, and like it's been proven now, they can map someone's home just by the Wi-Fi signal, right? And interestingly enough, it takes me back to is another movie. It's an old movie. I think it was Christian Bale was playing Batman, and Morgan Freeman was there, and Batman managed to get every mobile device and Wi-Fi device to create a 3D map of Gotham City. And Morgan Freeman says that's too much power for one person, right? I think that movie must be, God knows how, 20 years old now. But this is, and they show you in the movies, right? And this is where we are now. They can do this now. They've got, excuse me, they've got transponders every 100, 200, 300 yards. They've got massive Wi-Fi towers. They've got people's mobile phones in every pocket. They've got laptops everywhere. And now they can actually make a 3D version of the world and see through walls, right? Too much power for one human to have. So who has this power, right? Slightly off of transhumanism, but whatever. So it's basically the transhuman agenda is to try and get us merged with AI, right? And as you know, Alex, I'm guilty of using AI to turn my poems into music, right? Which I find quite harmless, and I know you disagree on certain things on that. But this is another one step into transhumanism. So it feels like they're leading us into it. First with the release of the DARPA-funded internet, and then the Facebook, and then the social media, and then your mobile phones start coming out. And like these days, you could be sitting on a bus with 15, 20 people, and 2 people will have a conversation, but there'll be at least 2/3 or everyone on that bus has got a mobile phone, and they're all having a conversation without a word being said, right? Which is crazy, right? It's mental. So if you, like, you're sitting at a bus stop waiting for a bus, there's 5 people there, 4 people have got mobile phones, nobody's having a conversation, all the phones are, because they're all Wi-Fi'd up to each other, right? Which is kind of crazy again, right? But again, back to the transhumanistic agenda, it seems to be the start, and I'll be a bit controversial here, the start of the end of the human species. And I think that might have happened with the old clot shot. Let me know what you think.
I'll be honest, I'm on the fence as to what was or wasn't in. It was no health drug, and it was intended to depopulate. It was intended to destroy people's immune system. I'm on the fence about the not QR codes, the IP addresses, the Bluetooth things and that, because it's almost impossible to separate someone so completely from any technology around them to be definite and to definitely prove it's them. And I've tried some of the things people say, these experiments, and you can see this and you can look for Bluetooth in the area. And I've tried it right next to people, and I've never got it to pan out. But I'm not saying it's a definite no. I'm just saying I'm on the fence on that one. I'm not convinced by that one. But I would, if I'm proven wrong, I would hold my hands up and say, okay, that was right. I'm not saying it definitely isn't. I'm just on the fence on that one. But the whole agenda is very clear. It's very much, and it's openly admitted to, and it is pushed as that upgrade. Well, it will be pushed as an upgrade, but it's pushed as an evolution. It's pushed as a next step. It will be pushed in that positive light, and people will be lining up for it. And that's the scary part. Yes. That terrifies me. The fact that people would welcome that idea with open arms. Resistance is futile, says Star Trek, but people won't even resist. And that's the problem. People will not even resist. They'll be like a drone wanting back into the collective.
Yeah, and it'll be like, do you want to be left behind? Have you not had the new procedure done yet? Don't you see that your next door neighbor can remember facts from 1 week ago or something? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like little Stacy had this implant, and now she can remember every book she's ever read, right? So even if you are against it, let's just say in a science fiction kind of realm, you will be left behind, because you're going to have humans that are either bred better, and that's the eugenics part, and that. I guess that's a whole different kettle of fish. Is we're now at the stage where you can choose your baby's eye color and blah 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 blah, you know, and it's going to get the stage where you can choose traits for your baby, allegedly, and now this is getting. We don't have time for this, but that's getting into nature and nurture. So they're trying to nurture nature, basically, which is, to me, kind of ungodly. And even in that sentence, there's like 19 things or 19 hours of conversation just for saying like 7 words, right? Yeah. We don't have time to get into them all. But so it feels like they're trying to play God and not letting. Letting is the way I speak. Letting evolution take its course, maybe, or humans to finally transcend to where they need to be. It feels like they're trying to put in a injector or some kind of false electricity to zoom it up to where they think it should be, right? Without even going through the ethics of it and saying, can we do it? Probably. Should we do it? We're not sure. Yeah, but
They're not saying no, but yeah.
But we can. We can do it. Yeah, let's give it a go. Right?
What could possibly go wrong, as we like to say on these shows?
Go wrong. Exactly. You're just
Nick's
like,
made
wow.
a good point. He said it, and if the tech don't work, it will be the fault of those people who refuse to get it implemented.
Exactly. Yeah. There we go. Good comment.
The refusenicks, as they called us, that always got me because that was so contradictory to the original meaning of that word. It was so reversed. It's another one that's asked about face. But it's yeah. And that's the bit that worries me. Well, it's the same. We're going to be circling back around to apathy if we're not careful. But
yeah, well,
the number of people that will say, yes, this is a positive thing and will support the idea and will be volunteering and first off the line. And again, the predictive programming. You mentioned about the Batman series, and there is so much truth in that series. Yeah. I think that's Batman Begins with the map. I think that's Batman Begins with the thing. I might be wrong, but I think it is. But if it is, that's the one, the second one. I forget the name of the Dark Knight. I don't know. The second one in the series, anyway, with Bane in that. It's Dark the bit about. I think it is. Yeah, it's the Bane one when the jail, and it's about the hope, and it's the reason the hope being the people still have hope, and that hope is what is effectively the torture for them, effectively, because and there's a lot of truth in that one as well.
Yeah.
But the bit that it makes me think, and not just no, it's gone out of my head. I've completely forgotten where I was going with this. It was another superhero. It was Marvel, not DC. Oh, the whole thing with the people would queue up for it. It's Captain America. Mm-hmm. It's the idea that you take some magic serum or you put a magic chip in your head and you become the best version of yourself.
Right.
The truth is you don't become the best version of yourself. The truth is it'd be more like the Hawk. The truth is you become something that is not you anymore. And that's why I'd never. So that would never convince me.
So not human.
Not human.
Right? I mean, I'd rather be human than transhuman. Does that mean in 10 years' time, I'm going to be looking at some dude lifting bloody 700 pounds? He's like, well, I took one of those chips, right? It's like, wow, who knows? But, in the Captain America movie, they predicted COVID as well, yeah? They had
at one point. I can't remember now, but I think it was pointed out to me at one point. But
yeah, there's a famous screenshot where they had when they did the COVID virus ball thing.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's on a billboard behind Captain America in Times Square, and that was like years before anybody had ever seen anything like it. But anyway, let's not go back to we're circling.
No, if we go to that, we'll go to the 2012 Olympics with the beds and the dancing.
Oh yeah.
And I'll go then on about 2005 with the new Doctor Who reboot, which had with Aliens of London, where they said we haven't even finished the vaccination program yet, when it hadn't had anything to do with the whole storyline. The storyline was naught to do with that.
Oh, it was just wedged in.
It was just wedged in.
Oh, right. Okay. I haven't seen that actually, but I know the other two you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. But,
yeah.
But no, there is predictive programming everywhere. But
unfortunately,
people will welcome it, and that's scares me with transhumanism.
And that's like I'm saying about language. There's predictive programming everywhere. It's on billboards. It's on your screen. It's on the way people speak because they've been, kind of manipulated or brainwashed. So they will repeat what they've seen. Like saying, bloody, did you see what happened in EastEnders last night? And everyone talks about it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, who gives a fuck, right? But but they'll say, did you see what was in the news last night? And everyone's talking about it, right? And everybody's talking about it. So then it becomes a collective thing that everyone has to talk about. And you're like, well, there's other things going on in the world like this. They're like, does cognitive resonance does not work. Sorry, Sorry. I'm way home to watch Love Island. See you later. Right? These are the people. This is like the majority of the world. They'd rather speak about who won I'm a Celebrity, or who won, or who's on Strictly, or just some shite, right? Just absolute mind fuck shite.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, I'd really like to speak about what's going on in the world, right? They'd rather be like, this fish is horrible, and I'm really glad that I don't know, Danny, let's just say Danny won fucking some live competition somewhere. Danny with 2 eyes, by the way, probably.
Probably. Yeah.
So that's me going off on a tangent.
I can honestly claim that I have never watched reality TV.
Thank God. I think we might have the potential to be pals there, because I don't watch it either. The last time I put on my telly, God, it must be months now. Months. Just, I know, like, I just started listening to the radio now. Radio, like trying to get Radio 4, Radio Times. So I'm thinking, well, if they're going to stick me on the bloody internet, I might as well know a couple of things about the world. Right?
Yeah.
But I know quite a few things about the world, right? But I just want to make sure, like, what idiot's saying what where.
Yeah. You do, and that's what I try to get through to people, because people's immediate, when you talk about propaganda, when you talk about them manipulating you with language, their immediate response is, oh, I don't watch the TV, don't watch mainstream. But you've got to know what they're saying.
Yes.
You've got to know where they're leading, us, who's the enemy of us, who we've got to attack now. You've got to know what they're trying to paint. I don't even have a TV in my living room. I do have a TV in my bedroom, and it watches Amazon Prime and Netflix. I don't know, I probably shouldn't put money into Bezos's pocket, but I'd rather do that than put it into the BBC. So it's kind of a challenge.
A good movie is a good escape from...
Yeah.
You know, but when you start watching them again, you're like...
Yeah.
That's the thing. If I get that happened. How was this movie, right? And then you end up watching it with a partner or whoever, and then they're sitting there trying to enjoy the movie, and you're like, didn't you see what you said there, and like it happened in 2022? You're just, they're trying to tell, oh my God, how far do I have to go back to watch these movies, right? You know, but no, it's a good escape, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I've got Netflix as well. That's only because Happy Gilmore 2 was coming out, so and it was only on Netflix. I've never cancelled my subscription, but I have gone back, and then I've been watching stuff like Aliens, which is a classic movie, like, you know, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant movie, Aliens. I think it's probably my number one. Let me know in the comments if Aliens
is becoming your catchphrase, isn't it?
If Aliens is the only franchise that made their second movie better than their first movie, let me know in the comments. You never know, because I would say it was. Anyway, I lost my train of thought.
I don't know about number 2. I don't know precisely about the second movie on other franchises. I'm trying to think. I'm sure there will be others somewhere. But
Back to the Future 2 wasn't bad, to be fair.
No, true.
But Back to the Future was groundbreaking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like all of the Lord of the Rings ones, so I can't really say 2's better than 1, because 1's good as well.
Oh, the whole Lord of the Rings, that just feels like one huge movie that lasts about 8 hours.
And I've watched it as one huge movie.
Yeah, it feels like a book. Put it that way. It feels like reading the book. Mm-hmm. That's a really good adaptation of when you read a book and you think and you imagine it, and then when you see it on screen, most of the time you're disappointed. But when you watch Lord of the Rings, you're like, that's pretty much exactly how I imagined it as a kid, right?
Yeah.
With the orcs and the little guys with the big feet and stuff. The Hobbits.
Hobbits. with the exception of the absence of Tom Bombadil, it pretty much is the book.
I don't remember that from the book, I've got to say.
I might have them on. I might have all the books on audiobook that I kind of listen to when I'm working.
But then, of course, when I imagined Schmeagol as a kid, I was like, that's Schmeagol. And then when they put it on screen, I was like, that's pretty much what I imagined he would look like. But now he's never going to look like anything else. So if I go back and read those books again,
yeah,
I'll always picture that adaptation, right? So like the movies can destroy the books, but the books make the movies. So yeah, as usual, it's a dichotomy, right?
It's true. It's true. It's very true. And there are some things that I would prefer the movies to the books. Is what that's the thing. I prefer the shouldn't say it. Probably be some Robert Louis Stevenson purist out there, but I prefer the old Master of Ballantrae film than I ever liked the book. I'm going back to Errol Flynn now. Now I am going back to the 60s or maybe 50s. I don't know. But anyway.
Well, you're definitely well read. I'll say that. Definitely well read. So is there anything else you want to go through tonight?
I think we've pretty much covered everything we were going to go with. So unless you've got anything else particular, I think perhaps we will call it a day.
Well, yeah. Well, I think I've jabbered on quite enough. And again, it's an honour to be invited on to the Jacobites International. Hopefully this time I don't look like a startled bunny.
We can see you this time, which is an improvement on Friday.
Well,
your camera has just given up the ghost.
I'm not sure if that's an improvement, but that's thank you so much for saying.
It's an improvement for me because it's easier for me to talk to somebody I can see than it is to talk to an empty screen. It's quite disconcerting in some ways.
Well, I'm glad the camera kept working tonight. God knows what happened the other day. But it seems to have settled itself down now. So if you want to invite me back on some other time, I'd be more than happy to pop up and give you some opinion.
Yeah.
And hopefully, again, folk in the comments have decided my hat's shite or something, right?
Well, we'll let you read back and find out if they have, because like I said earlier, I won't read it back. I cannot watch myself. I still can't watch myself back. I can't stand it. And I don't check the comments. I check the comments. The comments, by the way, just to warn people, the comments do appear on my phone because I've got the business suite on Facebook from work, and it and the Jacobites. So all your comments come through. So I won't pay much attention. The only time I will is if you say something that you really shouldn't be saying, and then you'll be banned. But or answered. One or the other. And that's not it's not about people say freedom of speech and all that. It's not freedom of speech. Nobody gets we joke about banning people. Nobody gets banned from this channel for saying the wrong thing or believing the wrong thing. They get banned for their attitude when they're saying it. If you're going to be an asshole about it, if you're going to attack somebody on the screen, and I don't usually ban people for attacking me because I don't really care. But I will ban people if they randomly have a go at Glenn for no reason, randomly have a go at Ian for no reason, randomly have a go at you tonight for no reason. Then they get the same response and they get answered. They either get challenged and say, well, come on and do it better then if you don't like what somebody's done.
Yeah.
Or they get, if they start condoning things like genocide, then the ban button will get pressed.
Yeah. But I would say if you're in the comments, and I do want you to be in the comments, like and share this video. Tell your friends about it, right? Try and spread the word a little bit. And Ian's show on a Sunday, the Lone Gunman, is absolutely brilliant. Glenn's show, the Man in Black, the amount of detail he puts into that is, I don't know how he even finds the time to take the time. I mean, like and share, comment, right? And if you do really hate this hat, come on live on screen and say, Kier, I'm willing to come on live on the internet, have my face pasted all over YouTube and say, I don't like your fucking hat. right? Whatever, right? And I'll debate you about my hat. I won't argue with you, but I'll certainly have a conversation with you about it, right? And
Sounds
with
fair.
that, I think
Sounds fair to
that's it.
me. So if anybody thinks they don't like Keir's hat,
Yes,
then come on another Sunday and you can discuss it. Okay.
I'll wear a different hat.
And on that note, I think we will wrap it up. It's now Sunday evening. I'll be back at Tuesday at 9 p.m. with The Gleam in the North. Ian will be back at Wednesday at 7 with Smokum. Glenn will be on Saturday this week. That's my fault, hands up, because I've got to go to a family birthday party. So I won't be, I'll be traveling back on Friday night. So Glenn's show will now be on Saturday in this coming week. I'm assuming it'll still be 7:30, but look out for the mem. Then we'll be back next Sunday at 1:50 with Lone Gunman Rights again, and 8 p.m. with more from the last Jacobites International. And if you want to see Keir on another show, put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments. If you don't want to see me on a show, put it in the comments. Say, "Hi guys."
I will pay no attention whatsoever, because any willing volunteers are willing volunteer. Anyway, we will see you soon. Have a good rest of your weekend and have a good week.
Happy
Take
Easter,
care.
everyone.
Good night and stay around.